Hello and welcome back to Pint-Sized Pressers, HaytersTV's show, bringing you the best of all the action ahead of a jam-packed Premier League weekend. I am Aisha Galati. I'm joined by Dan Bennett, as always, and we've got a newbie with us in Layla Mermelstein. Thanks for joining us, Layla.
Thank you for having me.
Welcome. Getting your first cap on the show.
I know.
Yeah.
We haven't got a cap to give you.
No doubt.
I went for the green to match the mic.
Oh, Haters Green. We love to see it. You've got to come branded, as always. Yes. Well, we are in the wonderful venue that is Box Bar Piccadilly. Screens everywhere. If you're watching the Winter Olympics, it's a great spot for it. If you're watching the Premier League, it's a great spot for it. Any other sport you're into, it's a great spot for it. Six Nations, how could I forget? All of the sport on all of the screens that they've got everywhere, literally wherever I look.
We had to get them to turn the curling off because it would be too distracting while we were trying to talk about football. So
it's true, and the curling is on fire. So
sport I love once a week for every 4 years, or twice 2 weeks every 4 years.
Unlike football, which is every single week, every single year, well, without further ado, we will jump straight into the action this weekend because it's a big one. Only the North London derby, guys. It's huge, as it always is, and it feels like there's only one place to start, and that is with the league leaders, Arsenal. Now, they dropped points midweek. Dan, how concerned should they be coming into this? I think people have been talking all season. It's been a comfortable buffer, and that it's becoming a bit less comfortable.
Yeah, pretty concerned. I mean, it is only one game, and it's 2 drops points. So let's not go completely over the top and say it's done or anything like that. I mean, I've heard some Arsenal fans saying it. They think it's over, and I think
it's protecting themselves, though, isn't it?
It's like Pep Guardiola said in his press conference earlier, there's still 12 games to go in the league and there's plenty of other games to play in cup competitions. There's loads to happen before now and the end of the season. There's loads of twists and turns still to come, I think. But just on that game itself, yeah, I think we've been pretty positive about Arsenal on the whole on this show, naturally, because they've been top of the league all season. And I think we've defended them recently, even when we've dropped points. But I don't think there's any way you can really defend that. I think, what was it, a few weeks ago, I said that they sort of proved the doubters wrong when they beat, I think it was Leeds 4-0.
Yeah.
They're obviously under a bit of pressure after that loss to Manchester United. But the way they threw the game away against Wolves was like really concerning, and I was really surprised by it. Just the way they were giving the ball away. Okay, it goes 2-1, the Wolves boy, he scores a really good goal, but that happens, but just the way they managed the game from there on out, the amount of times they were giving the ball away under no pressure from the opposition. People will rightfully point at the goal and say if Gabriel and David Raya hadn't had that mix-up, then Wolves wouldn't have equalised. But you have to look at the way they were managing the game up to that.
Yeah.
It was completely coming, and they completely got what they deserved. So they've given the doubters a bit of
bit of fuel, yeah.
to doubt them, I think, which is, like I say, it's one game, but there's some pretty worrying signs from that game there. Just because of how comfortable they were in the game, and the fact it's Wolves who are still trying to beat Derby's record of being the worst Premier League team ever, and we're in February.
Yeah,
this is a poor team. So
absolutely. Well, before I come to you, Layla, our reporter James St Dennis was at Arsenal's training ground earlier today to hear from Mikel Arteta.
James St Dennis here from Arsenal's training ground. We've just heard from Mikel Arteta ahead of Arsenal's Premier League clash against Tottenham. Arteta gave an update on the injuries to Martin Odegaard, Leandro Trossard and Kai Havertz, as well as reacting to the news that Bukayo Saka signed a new deal with the club. The Spaniard also spoke about the fallout from the Wolves match, saying his side are now fully focused on playing against Tottenham in the North London derby.
What I've seen is a tremendous reaction again, and I'm not surprised at all. I mean, when you lose points, or in the last kick of the game again, in a very unpredictable manner, I would say, because to predict somebody with a 0.2 expected goals probably and one shot to concede an equalizer the manner that we did it, is nobody can really understand that. But this is football, and that's the beauty of it. And that was a chapter. So we have a long season. Chapter 27 says, okay, we draw against Wolves in this manner. What I'm very interested is about the next one, is what we are made of. Okay, what do we do about this, and how we write our own destiny from here and going forward. And that's it. And you have to react to that, because life moves on. The result has to stay unfortunate as it was. There is nothing else we can do. What we can do is a lot. Is what's going to happen next.
Well, Layla, we heard from Arteta there. What do you make of the noise around Arsenal at the moment, especially going into such a big fixture?
Well, I mean, there was always going to be noise kind of coming into this point of the season as points really start to matter more and more. They have had a bit of a falter. Obviously, there was the loss against Man United. Then they've let points slip against Brentford, then Wolves. But I think that Arteta is right that you kind of just have to pick yourself up because the games will keep coming. There's another 12 games to go. Obviously, they've got that game when they go to the Etihad. That's going to be massive, and they need to try and get themselves back to as good a place as possible before then to give themselves a chance of, you know, going and playing their own game rather than letting the pressure get to them. Obviously, they have been in this position before and things haven't gone their way, and they have to sort of take the learnings from that to change the outcome this year, I think.
I was just going to say, I mean, like you mentioned those other games there. Obviously, it's not just the Wolves game where they've dropped points recently, but I did a piece for our website, which I'm going to give a little plug. You can go and read it on our website. I think the other games, there were sort of like, I don't know, mitigating circumstances, or there was kind of arguments to say it wasn't all that bad. Like I thought the reaction to the games they've dropped points in before this one was pretty over the top for the large part.
Yeah.
You know, I thought Brentford, I think, will give any team in the world a tough game at the GTEC Community Stadium. And I was thinking, I think I said on the show after, like, I don't think that point is necessarily a bad one. You know, United obviously buoyed by Carrick and the kind of freedom that he's given them. Forest, they've always struggled there. You know, I mean, I'm not making excuses, but there was kind of things there to say, all right, you know, let's not get too over the top.
Yeah.
But then this one, I think every criticism that people have said, I think is pretty valid, to be honest.
Yeah, I think that's true. It's difficult.
Agreement. Nayan normally argues back with me a bit more. You can come on again.
Well, Spurs are, of course, with a new manager in Igor Tudor, and it's his first press conference today. So before I come to you, Dan, this is what Igor Tudor said today. Our reporter, Nayan Murthy, was there.
I am here at the Tottenham training ground where Igor Tudor gave his first press conference as Tottenham boss. He spoke about Spurs' mounting injury issues and also said that they have a 100% chance of not being relegated this season.
It's all about that you achieve what you do during the week. So you achieve your position, how you do the things on a Sunday. So it's always consequence about that. This brings you nothing if you start to think I'm a relegation or if I'm fighting for this, about or I'm starting. So all these goals, they're far away in a way, you know, and I think you understand me. I never give them importance. I never speak about result. You know, I never speak about what we need to achieve in the end of the season. You know, I don't believe in this. I believe it's in today training. So this is, for me, all I want that the players think about that. You know, I go strong on that things that we need to do on the training. After we speak, you know, I go man to man to give concrete advices, to give all I have, you know, love, also support, but also the right advices, you know. So it's all about that. And then the position on the classific is consequence of this, you know.
Tudor is coming in to a really tricky situation at Spurs. It didn't end great for Thomas Frank in the way that Spurs are sat in the table. Dan, what does he need to do to bring confidence into the $1 million question? Yeah, to bring confidence into this Spurs team.
A lot. I mean, you say that word confidence there is quite interesting. In his first interview he did with the club, he mentioned that word a lot about bringing confidence into the team. He obviously identified that as somewhere where the team is really lacking. But their injury situation is still pretty terrible. They're missing a lot of players, and even though Arsenal obviously will be a bit wounded from that draw with Wolves, it's a hell of a tough start for him. And I think, you know, people have spoken about relegation and Spurs recently, and I think people still can't quite accept that, you know, Spurs will be fine, they're not going to go down. But you look at, they're 5 points clear of West Ham. You look at how well West Ham are playing at the moment. They look a really dangerous team. You know, Forest have just changed their manager again, had a really good win in the Europa League midweek. Like, pressure's on. He's got to start winning games like straight away.
Yeah.
They will actually get dragged into that relegation fight. I think this season you'll probably need more points than you have done in previous years to stay up.
Yeah.
And normally teams get to 36, 37, that's all right. I think you might need a couple more than that this year. So, yeah, I mean, it's a tough start for him, but if he could get a win in this game, what momentum that would build for him.
Yeah, well, Layla Dan mentioned Carrick a bit earlier in terms of the Arsenal loss, but I guess there could be a new manager bounce here at Spurs, and they need it at this point in the season, right?
Yeah, obviously. And I think part of the reason they chose that the Spurs sort of board chose Tudor was he has a sort of record of coming in and making an immediate impact. He's won the first game in charge at the last 5 clubs he's taken charge of. So if you're looking for someone to give you a new manager bounce, he might be the guy. But, you know, this will probably be the toughest task for him that he's faced, because Spurs are winless in their last 8 league games. They've lost 4, drawn 4, and they're the only Premier League side this calendar year that hasn't had a win. So
it's not good stats.
Not good stats. Yeah, encouraging start for him. But, you know, it's about...
That's why they brought him in, isn't it?
Exactly. If there's anyone that can do it, maybe he's the guy.
Yeah, I have to admit, I didn't know much about him. Like when we were speaking last week, we did some frantic Googling, and I obviously knew a bit about him from being at Juventus, but the more you read about him, like you said, he's kind of established his reputation as a bit of a firefighter.
Yeah.
You know, he's gone into clubs where he's never really been the first choice, but they've got him in because they're in trouble, and he's sorted out teams pretty quickly. So, I mean, that's obviously they've looked at that and gone with that.
He's the guy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, yeah, and that starts this weekend. See if we can do it.
It does indeed. I mean, Arsenal in recent years have been so on top in this fixture. I think the last win for Spurs came in 2022, was it, Layla?
2022. I think this is probably the first North London derby that's sort of had the same weight to it as that one. Obviously, Spurs came out that 3-0 and they basically knocked Arsenal out of Champions League places. And since then, obviously, it's a big clash if you're in London, if you're a London team fan, but it's not had that same weight. Obviously, 5 points at the top, 5 points at the bottom. This is a really big.
Yeah, it's weird when you think about it in that context, isn't it? It's massive for Spurs because they're in relegation trouble. Massive for Arsenal because it could be a blow to their title after dropping the points against Wolves. So, yeah, I mean, you think if Spurs were maybe just like mid-table or whatever, it wouldn't have quite. But there's things on it for both teams.
So
yeah, big game.
Definitely. Well, there's only one more thing to do. Predictions. It's a tricky one.
It's tough.
It's a really tough one because I think on paper there's only one answer, but it's a North London derby and football doesn't work on paper. Go on.
Okay, I'm going to start.
You going first? Yeah, go on. As you're making your debut.
Yeah, exactly. I am going to be cautious here. I think it is going to go to a draw.
A draw? Okay.
It might be a draw. I think Spurs will really be pushing for it. Obviously, Arsenal have had their confidence shaken a bit. If they can come out and use the Wolves' drop points to kind of push themselves, then they'll come out on top. But I think there's every chance that they kind of hold them to a 1-1, 2-2 kind of draw.
Yeah, I mean, Arsenal dominated this fixture, the reverse fixture earlier in the season, the Eze hat-trick. So, gosh. But having said all of that, I'm going to go with a Spurs win. And you can clip this up when I'm wrong, by the way, because it's very likely. But I just think the new manager bounce is such a thing. And going into this massive game where Arsenal are going to be so knocked for 6 from that midweek game, and Spurs are just going to be the total opposite of needing to just put absolutely everything. And if they don't put a good performance in on the weekend, it's just, I mean, the fans are already, they're already like losing hope. And this is going to be such a pivotal moment for them to put on a performance for their fans.
As strong.
Yeah, for sure.
So you're going Spurs win?
Win for Spurs win.
Yeah, it's tough, isn't it? Because there's so much unknown about it because we don't really know what Tudor's done this week, what he's going to have changed, how they're going to set up, you know, what personnel he's going to go with.
I'm not basing it on anything like that. It's purely vibes. Yeah.
A lot of my predictions have been based on vibes as well, so I'm not knocking it. But I'll for the sake of variety, I'm going to say the expected result would be an Arsenal win, wouldn't it? All the evidence points towards that. So I'm going to go with an Arsenal win and they'll bounce back from that draw with Wolves.
Okay.
You've got your sensible journalist hat on there. I like it. Someone's got to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of us will be right.
This is one of the hardest predictions we've had to do, I think. Even though you look at the table and it shouldn't be like that, like you say, because there's so much unknown about it, even from Arsenal's perspective following that draw with Wolves. But yeah, I'll go with an Arsenal win. One of us is going to be right, so that's the good news.
Cover all bases.
Exactly.
Love it. Well, the next biggest game of the weekend is City against Newcastle. Saturday night, 8 p.m. I think Newcastle, it's a good Saturday night TV for us as viewers and fans, but
Probably not for travelling fans.
not for the travelling fans.
Sure,
I
that's
was
what I'm
going to say,
saying
and
as
also I think also for Newcastle, who have been to Karabag and back
Yeah.
in the week, and now have a Saturday night fixture, they're probably wishing they could have had a bit more recovery time on that.
And I think Eddie Howe said they got back about 4 a.m, 5 a.m. in the morning. So
At least they're not doing what the fans were doing, like via here, via here, via here. I'm pretty sure they would have had a nice direct private flight there, yeah.
yeah, budget airline out there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Good stuff. But Newcastle had an emphatic midweek win against Karabag. I mean, that was huge. And it was needed, I think, as well. And it's actually 3 wins in a row now for Newcastle in all competitions, with that most recent one being massive. How much is that going to, change Newcastle's fortunes for this back end of the season, Dan?
Yeah, I think it's they've been up and down, haven't they, all season, really. Obviously, they had that defeat to Brentford a couple of weeks ago, and then since then they beat Spurs, and they've obviously had that really good result in the Champions League, and they've sort of bounced back from that. But I think it's quite interesting what he's doing at the moment with playing Anthony Gordon up front. Obviously Karabag were really poor, but it kind of seems to have unlocked him a bit. And obviously Wiss is out injured at the moment, but he sort of preferred Anthony Gordon to Voldemade up front, which is quite an interesting choice, but it's worked really well, and I think Gordon's adapted to that really well. So, and you think against Manchester City with that high line, if he goes with that again, that could cause City some problems, I think, with Gordon playing more centrally.
Well, I mentioned the 3 wins in a row.
Yeah.
Away wins as well. Come back against Villa away, beating Spurs away, Karabag away. What do you make of their away form and how that's changed over the season?
Well, I mean, it'll be a massive boost for Eddie Howe because, I mean, they started off with one of the poorest away forms in the whole league, and now to turn that around in time to, travel to the Etihad, where they also have a pretty poor record, is probably the best momentum that they could have going into this fixture. Obviously, they will be tired. They've done a lot on the road. They were away at Spurs, away at Villa, away in Azerbaijan, and now to Manchester. That's not nothing. That's obviously going to have an effect on your players, but to come out and perform the way that they have and get the results they have is really impressive. Obviously, the last defeat was at the hands of Man City in the Carabao Cup. That was a pretty heavy loss to take, I imagine, but a league game is different to a second leg of a Carabao Cup. The urgency is a bit different, So I think Eddie Howe can sort of take a step back and have a look at how he wants to play it and see if he, what the best he can get out of his players.
Yeah. You mentioned the Carabao Cup defeat there. I mean, that was huge. It was 5-1 on aggregate in City's favour. City go into this as favourites, chasing down Arsenal. Dan, what have you made of City and I guess their race for the title, we can say?
Yeah, I mean, it seems like at various points of the season you think, they haven't quite got what it takes to be in the title race this season. But, both Arsenal and City have been dropping points for a little while now, and it's kind of it's made that there be a title race. It's not like seasons previous, years gone by where City and Liverpool were getting like 95, 100 points. Those days are gone. It's completely different now. You're going to win the Premier League with a lot lower total. So while the quality of the top teams maybe isn't as good, it means there's excitement because you've got a title race, but. Yeah, I mean, obviously with Arsenal dropping points, there's been a lot of talk if City win, they'll only be 2 points behind Arsenal. But it's not like City beating Newcastle is a complete given because I'm yet to really be properly convinced by Man City this season. I mean, there's been some really good signs. I think bringing in Gahey and now Diaz has come back alongside him. That's really helped them. And Semenyo's been brilliant since they signed him. Yeah, just slotted into that attack and has been scoring goals for fun. Haaland's kind of seems to be struggling with his fitness, but been back scoring recently as well.
Should be.
So those are the signs that Arsenal fans would be worried about if they're looking at it. But there's, I think we spoke about it before, there has always been a bit of fragility about them, and I don't think that's really gone away. So I'd still be a bit concerned about Manchester City. I don't think it's like a given that they're suddenly going to be breathing down Arsenal's necks. I think they'll both still drop points between now and the end of the season, personally.
No.
Well, talking of Man City, our reporter Stan Smith heard from Pep Guardiola earlier today.
See, recently Arsenal were 9 points clear. Now your destiny in the title race is in your own hands. Are you surprised how quickly things have changed?
There were 9 points because we have a game on hand. So
when everybody has the same fixtures, same games being played, and after you have the different, many things is going to happen. I said 2 weeks ago, many things are going to happen until the end of the season.
But in a title race, how important is experience? Because you've done it many times before.
70% of the players are new, so they don't have experience to live these kind of situations.
Well, Layla, Pep is not thinking about the title race, but the rest of us are. What do you make of? What do you make of City's
show to make, so we've got to.
Yeah, well, this is what we're doing. It's literally our job. So we must discuss it.
Well, I mean, again, like Arsenal have been in front before, City have been in this place before, and they've come out on top. They kind of seem happy when, you know, they're on top, and they're just sort of, you know, that relentless machine they are, sort of getting points after points after points. But then they can also be the sort of chasers and are happy to keep putting the pressure on Arsenal. Obviously, to a degree, I think that Guardiola's right. Like, you can't think 12 games in the future. You just have to take the next one as it comes. And maybe that's what Arsenal need to be doing as well, because then they can't get in their own heads. They just play, you know, put one foot in front of the other until you get to the end of the season. That's kind of all you can do, really. So, yeah.
I think it's the recent history, isn't it, that's feeding into this narrative that we're talking about as well. Like, because City have hunted down Arsenal successfully before, I think, 3 years ago. The first year Arsenal were in title contention, obviously, Arsenal had quite a big lead. I think it was like 8 points for only a couple of months ago before the end of the season, and Man City came from behind and caught them. And it's because City have been there and done it, and Arsenal haven't. That's why there's the stuff around Arsenal maybe lacking whatever it takes to win the title. And, you know, people maybe lean more towards City. But, yeah, I think you just got to look at the now. I think Arsenal's still the best team in the league, personally, from what I've seen, even though they've dropped a few points recently. I'm still more...
It was best team in the world a few weeks ago.
I think that was Naya said that. I think I might have said they're the best in Europe, which, I mean, it changes, doesn't it? But, you know, in terms of their Champions League form, it's hard to dispute that. But, yeah, I think, I just think it's going to go pretty late until the end of the season. I don't think one team is going to decide it sort of 2-3 weeks before the end of the season. I think it'll go down to, the last game.
They've got some big games in their running before they host Arsenal. They've got Chelsea. They've got to visit Stamford Bridge. So, you know, they could stiff up there. I mean, there's plenty of places.
Plenty of banana skins all throughout the Premier League.
There's points to be dropped for both of them. Yeah, just on Arsenal, back to Arsenal. It's just because of the recent history and the way they dropped those points against Wolves, you can understand why the fans would be so anxious about it. It's hard to say, was the pressure getting to him, or was it just tiredness? But it was something, because the way they were giving the ball away and giving it back to Wolves so easily was really unlike them. So only they will know what it was to blame. So they certainly need to fix it.
Well, okay, predictions. City against Newcastle. Dan, we'll start with you first.
Okay, I think City. I'm factoring in the fact that Newcastle have been to Azerbaijan and back a couple of, a day or two ago. I think that is gonna come into it. I think the travel will affect them. So, and City are home. So I think City. I think City will win this.
I think I'm gonna go with Dan on that one. I think City have probably got this one in the bag. Like, I think Newcastle are kind of on the up in terms of their away form, but I mean, going to the Etihad is always a really tough challenge, and I just don't know if they've quite got it in them right now to take the points off City.
Okay, well, I'll mix it up. I'm going to go for a draw. Yeah, Newcastle, they're finding a good stride at a good time, and they'll be buzzing those last 3 wins. So.
I mean, I know I said City win, but I certainly wouldn't be surprised if Newcastle got something. I think. Strong team, aren't they? So
they are indeed.
But yeah, I mean, City, you'll be looking at that as such a big opportunity to really put the pressure on Arsenal.
Definitely.
I know Pep said he hasn't mentioned it, but he might have done. I might just be telling us that he didn't.
Saturday, 3 p.m, we've got Chelsea against Burnley. Now, Burnley sit 9 points from safety. Chelsea sit 5th. Again, you've got a sort of top end versus bottom end, both fighting for very different things. Dan, what do you make of this one? Chelsea are unbeaten in the last 5 league games. What have you made of them under Rosenior recently?
Very good under Rosenior, I think, on the large part. Obviously, there was that disappointment in the Carabao Cup, exiting to Arsenal, and obviously that game against Leeds was disappointing the way they were kind of in control, and it was their own individual mistakes really that cost them, which I think annoyed Rosenior. So I mean, he's had a couple of setbacks where, you know, he's had to kind of deal with the pressure that comes with the Chelsea job, but for the large part, I think he's dealt with it really well, and it's quite interesting. He's given his players a bit of a break this past week. We might use that clip, I don't know, from his press conference, but yeah, he saw Cole Palmer on his holidays, enjoying himself, getting a bit of sun. I think he just said because they've been at it non-stop for like 18 months, because obviously they had the Club World Cup, and they've had so many games, so we'll see if they benefit from that. You know, Cole Palmer might come back tanned, looking refreshed.
Oh, yeah.
To score some goals to fire Chelsea into the Champions League. But you guarantee if they don't win, then he'll be getting questions about why do you let the players go on holiday, you know?
Well, you're queuing me in quite nicely for that one.